Repeat our project here, and we now have one called unique. And the way the unique utility works is it allows us to filter an array of objects by the values of a specific key so that we only have unique values in that key. Now, let me show you what this means. In our main controller here, I'm going to paste some data so I don't bore you by typing it all out. Basically, as you can see, we just have an array of items, each with a first name and a last name and an ID here. Now, notice we have some duplicate first names. So for example, there's 2 Johns here, and we also have some duplicate last names. So there's 2 Smiths and 2 Does. And so what we're going to do is display these items in a table, and then we can use the unique utility to only show unique items of a given key. So we could choose unique first names and only show the first John and not the second one, or we could show unique last names and only show the first Smith and Doe and not the last ones. So of course, first we have to require our dependency. So this is UI.unique. Now let's open up our index.html page, and inside the controller here, let's start by displaying those items in a table. So this should be pretty straightforward. Let's create a table element here. And then in here, we'll start with a table row that will be our header. So we'll have our table row, and then in here we have table header for the ID. We can have a table header for the first name, and then we can have a table header for the last name. Now, after this table row, of course, we want to have a table row that will be repeated. So we'll do ng repeat, and we'll say this is for item in items. And then in here, we need our table data, right? Or our individual table cells. So in here we can say item.id, in here we can say item.firstname, and we can say item.lastname. Excellent. So now if we open this up in a browser, you can see we have our table here. Let's add just a little bit of styling to make it look more table-like. So we'll set the table data, and the table header here, all to have a border of 1 pixel solid black. Then let's give the table data and the table header, we'll give them each a padding of 5 pixels. Okay, that looks good. Let's also just do border dash collapse, and we'll set it to collapse. All right, so there we have a little bit of a nicer looking table. So now we need to enable the filter. So the way we can do this is, as you might guess, the same way we would use any filter. We filter items based on unique, and we pass it the value. So in our case, we will just call this field. And now we actually have to set our field value. So let's create a few buttons to do that. So let's create a button here, and we'll say ng-click. And when this is clicked, we will set field equal to, well, the first one will be blank, and we'll say all as the text inside this button. But then let's add 2 more fields here. The first one will say first name, and the second one will say last name. All right. And then we'll set the field equal to last name. Don't forget, we need to give this the same punctuation, and the first one will be first name. Don't forget, we need to give these the same casing as we do for the actual names of the properties on these elements. If we come back here and refresh the page, you can see our buttons are showing up above here. The easiest way to keep track of what we're removing is to look at the IDs. We have IDs 1 through 6 here. If I click first name, you can see that 3 has been removed. All brings 3 back. Now we can click last name, and you can see now we only have 1, 2, 3, and 6. So 4 and 5 have been removed. If we switch this to first name, only 3 is removed, and all, of course, shows them all. And to be completely honest, that's all there is to the unique filter. It just gives us a very easy way to filter an array of objects based on the keys in those objects.